Okay, so what we're going to do in this example is we're going to talk about factoring. We did a whole chapter on factoring early in the year. The chapter that we're about to start, which is called rational functions or rational expressions, has a lot of factoring in it. So let's review some basics. So this situation, you have 4 terms. We're going to do factor by grouping. Factor by grouping. So the way that works is exactly the way it sounds. We're going to group these 4 things into 2 groups. We're going to find the greatest common factor of these 2. I can divide them both by x squared in the first one. I can divide these both by 3 in the second one. And then we're going to actually GCF those out. If you recall, if you do this correctly, you'll end up with the same stuff, the same terms inside of the parentheses. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for this to match. If this does not match, you did something wrong. Don't force it to match. Just check your work and be careful that you did actually do the GCF of each of these groups. Once you have that, the x minus 5 is one of the terms from factoring, and the x squared plus 3, the stuff that you GCF'd, would make the other term. So that's factor by grouping. We can do that for every factoring problem if necessary. So let me just jump ahead here. If I have a problem like number 8, we can do that problem, which is typically a difficult problem, with factor by grouping. But there's some catches to this. We need to be a little bit more careful. So we have to add a layer of difficulty to this. What we did is we made a chart. We said it had to multiply to get the outside numbers, which is 2 and negative 20. So they have to multiply to get negative 40, and they've got to add up to the middle term, which is negative 3. So we got to add up to the middle term here. So if we can figure out the magic numbers that multiply to get negative 40 and add up to negative 3, we actually can use those to split the middle into a different problem, and we can do factor by grouping. So ways to multiply to get 40. 2 times negative 20, that does not add up to negative 3. Negative 4 times 10, that does not add up to negative 3. Negative 5 times 8, that adds up to positive 3. That's close. Let's make this positive 5 and a negative 8. That actually adds up to negative 3. That's what we want. So we're going to take these 2 magic numbers here, and we're going to split the middle. We're going to rewrite this. Instead of a negative 3x, we're going to write it as 5x minus 8x minus 20. Notice, well, it's supposed to be a positive 5 there, sorry. Those add up to negative 3. So we didn't really change the problem. All we did is we gave 2 different numbers that add up to negative 3. I did not pick random numbers. They also had to follow the idea of multiplication, because if we don't pick the right 2 numbers that multiply to get negative 40, we'll actually have a problem doing the factor by grouping step, which is what we're about to do. So I'm going to factor by grouping the first term. That's, I'm going to take out an x out of this one. The second one, I can take out a negative 4 out of those. So if I GCF an x, I have 2x plus 5. If I divide both of the second terms by negative 4, I get 2x plus 5. Look at that, they match. So then I can write my final answer, x minus 4, 2x plus 5. So that's the basics of factor by grouping and factoring. Now let's talk briefly about shortcuts. So going back up to the top here, there are some problems that are shortcuts. A shortcut, for example, is when there's a 1 in the front. So I still have to figure out the 2 numbers, multiply to get 36, add up to negative 12. That'd be negative 6 times negative 6. That adds up to negative 12. Instead of splitting the middle, because this is a 1 here, we can go right to the answer and write x minus 6, x minus 6. It's a shortcut problem. Get excited, because we can save ourselves a lot of time if we know this shortcut. It doesn't work all the time, but it works when the x squared has a 1 in the front. So let's show you another example. We have to figure out 2 numbers that multiply to get negative 36 and add up to negative 5. Sorry, add up to positive 5. So that could be like 9 times negative 4. That adds up to positive 5. So I could split the middle and factor by grouping, but because there's a 1 here, I can go right to the answer, x plus 9, x minus 4. And that allows us to save a ton of time. This next problem, same idea. We multiply to get 100, add up to 20. So that's 10 times 10 adds up to 20. And because it's a 1x squared, we can write x plus 10, x plus 10. Let's do a couple more. This is a different one. You see a binomial here. It's not a normal problem with 3 terms. We have perfect squares though. So this is a perfect square problem. All right. So because it's a perfect square problem, we actually can split this up carefully, where 9 is 3x times 3x, and 10 times 10 is 100. So we have to make one of them positive and one of them negative because they have to multiply to get negative 100. And that would be the answer. But you have to recognize that it's a perfect square problem. So looking at number 6, that's sort of a perfect square problem, but there's a y inside. So I have to GCF first, because otherwise I don't have perfect squares. Now I have perfect squares with what's left. So what I can do is I know the answer will split evenly, plus 9 minus 9, and I'll get my final answer. So let's do these last two really fast. I can GCF this. I get x squared minus 81. Look at that, perfect squares. That's nice. So I got x plus 9, x minus 9. This last one, I can take out a 2. It's 3x squared minus 17x minus 6. Why did I do that? Because they're all even numbers. I should GCF first. Then what I need to do is, because there's still a 3 in front of the x squared, I have to do this the long way. So I need to multiply 3 times negative 6. That's negative 18. And I got to add up to the middle, which is negative 17. So it seems hard, like two numbers that multiply at negative 18 add to negative. It's actually pretty easy. It's negative 18 times 1 will add up to negative 17. I've got to split the middle. I need to factor by grouping. They match, and I write down 3x plus 1, x minus 6. What did I forget? I forgot that 2 I GCF'd at the very beginning. Make sure that 2 is your final answer. And that is your quick review of factoring.